I got taught no matter how good you are, you're never too good for a checklist. Hey, I'm Josh, a builder here in New Zealand, and I love checklists. I've put these ones here together to use for my team in-house. This is my pre-clad checklist. Let's break it down. Quick disclaimer, these aren't the only way to build. I think it's important for everyone just to be on the same page within one company. By no means am I an expert, and this is just our approach to each phase of the build. This is assuming that you are papering a house and you're using cavity battens, which is what we do on the majority of our builds and what I see out there in the marketplace. There will be an add-on to do RAB as well. The very first thing you'll do is prepare. You know the saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you've finished your roof framing and you've got your roof on. You are now ready to move on to the pre-clad phase of the build. Now, preparing for pre-clad is really easy. You just do two things. Number one, you give all of your studs a once over with a straight edge, or you'd eyeball them, and you'd make sure that everything is straight, that there's no nasty bows or knots. If your cladding is vertical, you'd check your dwangs. You'd plane this up or knock them in. If they need a tickle up, you'd use the planer or the hammer to make sure it's all nice and flush. This is what you're going to fix your cladding to, and if it's not right now, the issue will compound later. The other thing you'll do is you'll make sure that all of your materials are on site, ready to go. So we're talking building wrap or rigidity barrier, tape, battens, 4x2. Easy. Right, now the builder can get to work on site. So first thing we do is paper the house. We would use a full roll, unless it's a tricky layout, and depending how the feet's gonna work, you might put a small strip around the top, frame out your feet, and then work your way down. Remembering your top sheet needs to overlap your bottom sheet, so if you do install the top first, you need to leave it loose to tuck your bottom sheet under. If you're using rigid air barrier, you'd make sure that you've got your sheets on site, you'd make sure you've got your compressor and your nails, and you would pick a starting point and work your way around. Exactly the same as paper, just takes a little bit longer. The next thing we'd do is any feet framing. We'd do our ribbon plate against the wall. We'd do any dwangs to hold sheets. Again, just like framing, just like trusses, we would pick a starting point and we would work our way around the house. Yo, if you're enjoying these checklist videos and you want a copy for your business or your site, head to nzbuilder.co.nz/checklist to find out more information. If you haven't already, or you're doubling up this stage with the last stage, you would be installing your fascia right now, and your roofer would be roofing. These two tasks are also part of our roof truss checklist and ideally would have been completed already. But if not, now is the time. From here, we can install our soffit linings. We can tape our windows and all of our openings using the appropriate tape and overlap, taping the entire sill, tape the corners. Next thing we'll do is install any wands bars. If you've got a wall with a row of windows, you need to make sure that these are all level. Don't just trust that your sills that have come out of your pre-nail factory are perfect, because whatever height you set your wands bars to is what holds the window up. So you want to make sure these are all level. Otherwise you're going to see them being out of line on the weatherboard. Now you can install your cavity closer down the bottom. If you've got a garage door, this would be the time to install the garage facings. Make sure you allow the appropriate depth. That's paper, cavity batten, cladding, and jib on the other side. Set that depth correctly now. So now we would install our cavity batten. First off, we'd make sure we've closed off the perimeter with a cavity batten on edge the whole way around the top. We'd make sure that we've got a closer in the bottom, and now we can go and do all of our vertical or horizontal cavities, remembering that we don't want to do above the heads of any windows or doors, anywhere that there's a flashing, but that we need the sides in first before we put the windows in. At this point here, you would need to make sure that you have any penetrations in the walls sorted out. We're talking plumbing, electrician, heat pump is another one that you forget to call in. Again, this is where a list is important. Right now you're doing framing and cladding and you don't think that you need to call these people in, but if they've got penetrations going through the wall, through your cladding, you want to have a quick on-site with all three of these people. Make sure you know where their stuff's going. Have you got rubber seals around all of it? Back at framing stage, we would have got our windows measured and we would have locked in a delivery date. And now we're ready for windows. They've been delivered to site. We tack them in. Now we would adjust all of our windows, making sure that they are even in the space. Check that the window's centered in the opening. We've already leveled our wands bars, so we know all of the windows are gonna line up, and we would then be able to put in our head flashings. Make sure you've cut the head flashing to allow for the correct overlap past the window edge and a scriber if it's included. Cut your head flashing, put that up, tack it in, tape it. You can now do cavity closer and cavity batten above all of your window flashings. You would also put in any internal corners or external corners around the building. Again, we like to use a datum height to make sure that these are all set correctly. And you'd put in a flashing for your garage door. Another trick that sometimes catches you out is make sure that your garage door flashing matches the paint color of your garage door facing, because sometimes that can be different to the head flashing color of the aluminium joinery. For example, you might have white windows, but you've got a black garage door with a black garage door facing. You would want to make sure that the garage door head flashing is black. Congratulations, you have finished the pre-clad phase. You're now ready to book in your inspection, and you can also organize your cladding delivery along with rondo for the inside if you need a rainy day job. Pre-clad inspection is that last step before you're allowed to rip into it and finish everything else outside. That brings us to our close and checklist in the next video. If you've been loving these videos and you want to see more, go ahead, click subscribe. Yo, if you're enjoying these checklist videos and you want a copy for your business or your site, head to nzbuilder.co.nz/checklist to find out more information.